the cloud features is actually a bit misleading. These are not actually cloud features. So these are desired features for cloud, as well as these are desired features for any application. High availability. So tell me, what do you mean by high availability? So whenever you need a service or whenever you need a data, it should be available. Simple terms. And in general, this availability, high availability and availability SLAs, what is SLA? Service level agreement. So these SLAs are mentioned in nines of availability. Say 99.99 means 4 nines. 99.999 means 5 nines. Sometimes there will be 11 nines. Sometimes there will be 16 nines. So tell me, 99% availability, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Again, we have answers: good, bad, bad. It also depends on many factors. So the answer is depends. But in general, do you know 99% availability in a year means how many days of downtime? Okay, some people have mentioned up to 3. So even 3 days, imagine that you are so many of you are part of a Facebook group, right? Imagine that 3 days your Facebook or WhatsApp is down for 3 days continuously. But for some businesses it may be okay. So the answer is depends. And also when you hear these SLAs, they will say this SLA is for monthly SLA, means monthly it could be 99, or it will be yearly SLA, means it would be yearly, it will be 99. So you have to calculate. And then availability is still okay, but what about durability? It is not mentioned here. Even if there is a delay in getting your data, but still you want your data to be there, right? You don't want your data to go away. So generally durability is a lot important, and that is where any cloud provider will have a lot of redundancy options. So you will have options to spread your data across one data center, or across multiple data centers, or across multiple countries. I'm not using the terms, correct terms such as availability zones or regions and all, because we have not learned it. We will learn all those terms specific to Azure in module 2. But you'll have a lot of flexibility from your cloud provider. And another 2 important terms: fault tolerance and disaster recovery. How many of you understand these terms, fault tolerance, disaster recovery, and their difference? Let me give you an example. I have deployed my application in 2 regions or 2 countries, and first country server got down. This is scenario 1. Okay, first country server got down, and immediately I switch over to second country or second region, and with little bit of time it starts working again, and things are back to normal. This is scenario 1. And then scenario 2, I have this instead of my data centers in 2 different countries, I have it in the same country or same region, and only one of them goes down, but due to my routing capabilities, the other one continue to support the application. This is scenario 2. So scenario 2, is it fault tolerance or disaster recovery? Okay, so option 1, scenario 1, where across region it is actually disaster recovery. 2, within your within region, within country, where you have multiple data centers and one continuing to support, is fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means even if some of the servers go down, your application will continue to run. Disaster recovery means your servers will go down, but it can come back up and then start supporting the users again. And you also have options within Azure to bridge those gaps. Don't worry, we will be learning all these things, but the purpose of this initial Cloud Computing 101 session is to introduce you to a lot of terms that can help you learn all the other things much faster. So now comes another two terms, scalability and elasticity. Imagine that I have a e-commerce platform. Okay, so like Amazon or Walmart or Flipkart. So I have a e-commerce platform, and then I'm planning to do a sale. Okay, and this sale, whenever this sale is happening, I'll have more requests coming to my application than usual, and then my application should be able to sustain it. So my application should not go down when that request come. It should add more servers and support it. So that adding more servers automatically is called as elasticity, and that the whole thing about the application continuing to run with the additional capacity is called as scalability. Okay, so elasticity in a way supports scalability. What about global reach and latency requirements? If your application needs to be used by certain countries or people from certain countries or regions, they may have a compliance requirement that only the data of our people should reside in only our data, our region. And if you only have a data center in your country or your city, then for most normal businesses, it will not be feasible to suddenly go to another country and create a data center there. Right. So a cloud provider can definitely help you because they will have data centers in almost all regions. Azure is said to have the maximum number of regions across the globe. So you can choose whatever data center region you want to select based on that particular compliance requirements. Again, latency requirements, which is similar to global reach. When you set up data centers on faraway places, there will be, so what is latency? How many of you understand what latency is, the term latency is, and how many of you do not understand? Let me ask you in another way. Which is good, high latency or low latency? Okay, low, everybody knows it. So latency means the time taken to make a request and then response to come back, right? So if it is far away, okay, if it is like far away, it could take a lot of time. But then cloud providers have services such as content delivery networks or CDNs that can cache data near to your location. Or you can have your data deployed into multiple locations based on your customers' location preferences. There are different ways. You have a lot of flexibility on a cloud. And agility. How many of you have heard this term called agile? Previously, we had something called as waterfall. In simple terms, agile means you are open to change. So in traditional infrastructure based, in traditional data centers or your on-premises data centers, how easy was it to change a purchase decision you made? You purchase set of hardware for X amount of money. Then you realize that, okay, this is not what I want. I want a different set. It is much difficult, right? So once you take a decision in traditional data centers, it is similar to waterfall model where you are stuck with whatever you have done, or it is the cost of change is very high. But with cloud, you can just stop that service and start using another service. Stop that virtual machine type and start using another virtual machine type. It is as easy as that. So agility is another advantage of public cloud. And then predictive cost. What do you mean by predictive cost? So most of the cloud providers will have their own ways to predict cost. For example, in Azure, you have Azure pricing calculator. Pricing is a module of its own, module 6. I will show all these things in detail. But for now, you can get an estimate of how much you will be charged based on all the factors. You can select regions, you can select any discounts, everything you can select, and then you can see how much you will be charged. So that is a normal pricing calculator. And also, people migrating from on-premises to Azure Cloud has another calculator called as TCO calculator, total cost of ownership calculator. So these calculators will help you predict cost accurately, and we will see them in module 6 in much detail. And finally, security. Do you think which is more secure, on-premises or public cloud? This is a question of debate also. Some people have said on-premises, some people have said both are secured. What is cloud for us is on-premise for the cloud provider, right? For Amazon or Azure or somebody else, it is on-premise for them. It is on their premise. So it is on-premise from them. It comes down to who is managing security, who is taking decisions. So this cloud providers will be able to get the best of people that are available in the market, the best of the engineers to secure their infrastructure, to take decisions about securing their infrastructure. But may not be the case for many of the startups or data centers that are new, because they generally focus more on development efforts rather than on security and even reliability and all the other things. In many cases, you will be just okay with the security that is, or better with the security that you get for the behind the scenes infrastructure for many of these many of the cloud providers infrastructure. The only thing is you will be worried about whether what will happen. So these are general doubts, right? What will happen if the cloud provider looks into my data? That is where things such as keys come into picture. You have Microsoft managed keys, you have customer managed keys, you have customer provided keys. We will see these in detail, I think in 104. We'll just touch upon in 900, but we go into these things in depth in 104. So there is a lot more to learn, but for a manager who is taking decision, he do not have all this knowledge about how things are secured behind the scenes. So he will not be able to effectively communicate these things to stakeholders. That is why most companies these days, including the current company I am working, has made it mandatory even for managers, tech managers, people from sales, people from business, to have at least Azure fundamentals knowledge and certification. In case if your company is using Azure, then there is high chance that Microsoft has already given you vouchers, and you can freely take it by just going to the certification registration website. You can click on discounts button and just enter your company email. You may get a verification code to company email just to make sure that this is your own email. And once you enter it, you will get to know whether you have that discount or not. Okay, so coming back, everybody, do you understand all these terms now? High availability, fault tolerance, disaster recovery, scalability, elasticity, global reach, latency requirements, agility, predictive cost security. If there is at least one no, I will repeat. Are these only features of a cloud? As I mentioned, all these features you can get in your on-premises also, or most of them. But what is the difference between using it on cloud and using it on premises? These features. What is the primary difference? So it is about money. If you have unlimited money, then it does not matter whether you do it on premises or on cloud. Each of these, if you take, you will get an example. Just take the example of a disaster recovery. You need to have minimum 2 servers, right? One for primary and one for backup. Yes or no? And at a time, how many of these 2 will be running? 1. So even though you need only one of them, at any point of time, you will be paying for 2 of them. But in a cloud, you will have to pay for the storage. That is a different thing. But for the compute, you don't have to pay for both, right? There are also options where you pay for both, where you can read from both. Then along with disaster recovery, you also get high availability. But in general, if in a normal DR scenario, either one of them will be running, and in that case, you have to pay only for one in case of cloud, and you have to pay for both in case of on-premise. And scalability and elasticity is a very big example. Consider the same example of a sale happening on an e-commerce portal. Imagine that now today I need 100 servers, and during the sale I need 500 servers. In on-premises, what is only option left for you? Buy those extra 400 servers for that sale. And what can you do with that with those servers after the sale? You can't do anything, right? So selling hardware is not that. It is not like real estate where you get more money. You definitely lose money. And if you are keeping it for your next sale, then you are wasting that hardware resources for all those other 364 days. Okay, so here also you can definitely do it, but cost is a major concern. Same is the case with the global reach or others. So just a recap for all of you. High availability, ensuring an agreed level of operational performance, usually uptime. Scalability is the capability to adapt and perform well under an increased or expanding workload or scope, also referred to as dynamic scalability. Elasticity, allocation of required resources to meet current needs. Scalability is generally achieved through elasticity. Fault tolerance, ensuring that servers or services remain available even if some fail. Disaster recovery, maintain or quickly resume mission critical functions after a failure. Low latency, ability to access services faster through internet, maybe using CDNs. So if you are listening carefully, what is the full form of a CDN? Content Delivery Network. And there are many CDN providers. Even within Azure, Azure gives you the option to choose between Azure or other external vendors such as Akamai and all. Some more exam notes. Capital expenditure is initial investment such as buying fixed assets. Operation expenditure is ongoing costs, including annual costs. With on-premise, these features means the more hardware that will be used only when needed. But with the cloud, these resources are provisioned on demand. In high availability, performance and uptime in response to increasing demand is considered. With fault tolerance, only uptime in response to a failure is considered. In fault tolerance, service continues after failure. In disaster recovery, service may be interrupted but recover faster. Scale up means replacing servers with more capacity ones or increasing its capacity. Scale out means adding more servers and processing in parallel. So tell me one thing, horizontal scaling, is it scale up or scale out? Horizontal and vertical. Horizontal means scale out. Vertical means scale up. Vertical scaling means you are adding more powerful resources. Maybe you are increasing your CPU configuration, or you are increasing your RAM. All this comes under vertical scaling or scale up. Scale out means, or horizontal scaling means, adding more servers of same capacity and all of them taking up requests in parallel. So in cloud, both are supported, but the core kind of scaling in cloud that makes all the benefit is which one? Horizontal scaling or vertical scaling? Okay, so it is horizontal. So there is a question. Can you please repeat scale in and scale out? Okay, so it is. So scale up means adding more RAM or CPU to your existing computer. That is a scale up or vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling means adding more servers and all of them parallelly taking up a request. That is horizontal scaling or scale out. So in cloud, we saw that Flipkart example, or we saw that other example with Walmart and Amazon, right? Whenever you have that sale, even in cloud, you cannot go and change the RAM. What you do in on-premises or cloud is add more servers during that sale to handle the request, and then remove those extra servers after that sale. So now tell me, is it horizontal scaling or vertical scaling? Horizontal, right? Clear? Everybody, 100%? Okay.